I want to say hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world, and I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I'm joined today by some very, very special friends and co-hosts, Dr. Chanel DeGuzman and Sheila Applegate. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, I've been missing you guys this week.
I know. My gosh.
I mean, it's like it seems like it's too long between
Right.
these shows where it's like, so
Right.
we have to fix that or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, Dr. Chanel, you just got through doing a very special college tour,
Yes.
right?
So, pardon me, I was in Brian's backyard in the Capitol.
Yes, 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 yes.
And it was just beautiful, Brian and Sheila. My son is touring colleges, and so we had an opportunity, an unofficial visit to Howard
Yes.
University, and it's just a jewel. It's a jewel right in the center, of the Capitol, and the weather, Brian, was absolutely
Yes,
beautiful.
yes, it was.
I
My
no,
gosh.
Brian, I came from Michigan in my long, down coat because I wasn't gonna take any chances. So, I was sort of the oddball walking around campus with a long winter coat on. But, yeah, my son got to hit with the team and just had a phenomenal visit. So we're very fortunate, and we will definitely catch you next time.
Oh, absolutely. You better. You better. And how you been doing, Sheila?
Well, I'm feeling really grateful today because
Yes.
I did test positive for COVID yesterday, but with
No.
modern medicine and indigenous medicine and all the energy work, I feel super supported. And today, when I turned on my computer to get on to the show, it popped up this beautiful bear and it said that it's International Bear Day. And the
Oh.
bear is very significant to
Oh.
me. And I'm excited to be here with our guest today as well.
Yes.
That's totally bearable.
Look at you, Brian. Yeah, Brian, I gotta say, when you said that, yeah, it's been a long time since the three of us have been on, and then I saw the schedule and our guest, I'm like, yes, the
I
perfect day.
know. I know. So let's talk a little bit about her. Listen,
Yes.
our very special guest today is Dr. Karen Herrick, who has spent decades researching spiritual phenomena, how this information impacts mental health and overall well-being, and the need for educating mental health professionals on these experiences. She's also the founder of the Center for Children of Alcoholics and has shared her clinical expertise for 30 years in private practice by lecturing on dysfunctional, addictive homes, dissociation, and grief and loss from a Jungian perspective. Her decades of research consist of paranormal experiences that have been widely reported and appear to be fairly common, as we all know. These phenomena have been the subject of research for well over a century, and their existence is reasonably established. Now, in her latest book, Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal, Dr. Karen offers the information and processes to harness the deeper levels of consciousness to daily life. So, with that, it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome to this morning Dr. Karen Herrick. How are you, Doctor?
I am great, thank you, and I'm really enjoying being here. I love all your energy.
Well, it's just going to get better, darling. It's just going to
That's
get better.
good.
Listen, now before we begin, I just want to remind all of our listeners out there that listen, you are part of this conversation. So we want you to comment, ask questions, post your thoughts right here to our live feeds on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll do some shout outs. We'll post your chats to our live feed so we can get you in this conversation. So, we are talking today about developing a richer appreciation for life through spiritual experiences. And Dr. Karen, I'm so glad you're here because I cannot think of a more perfect person to help guide us through this conversation. And so, my first question to you is, you know, I think a lot of times in life in terms of like medicine in general, and I look at mental health as also like part of a holistic approach to living a good life.
Right.
Why do you think spiritual experiences offer a new perspective on life's greatest challenges?
Well, because they take you to a different place than you've been to before.
Yeah.
Um, People talk about being in the now, NOW, and it's very hard to explain the now, except that you have this feeling of awe, and things are made clear that you never really understood. And at times, though, we're talking about maybe somebody seeing an angel in their bedroom, or seeing their deceased loved one appear to them, or having this wonderful light on the beach, just different things that's so hard to explain to another person, because you don't want to sound crazy. And that's really why people don't share them,
Yeah.
because they really feel like, oh, this is really weird. And I'm sure nobody's ever had this before, which isn't true. So they just take you to another place, different from our sensory reality, which is past, present, and future.
Right.
You go someplace beyond yourself.
And do you think too that we're kind of maybe socialized into believing that when those things happen, we're just supposed to dismiss them?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and that probably was your imagination.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's just your imagination.
And then nobody appreciates your imagination.
Right. Man, oh man.
Yeah, with Jungian psychology, he just loved the imagination.
Wow. Now, Sheila, I know you've been looking forward to this interview, so I know you have a question.
I'm kind of geeking out over here because
You geek out, girl. You geek out.
because Dr. Karen, as I had told you, I started my career with a master's in social work, and I was a child and family therapist. And early on, after my education, I started studying metaphysics and realized that I could do spiritual readings, and communicate as well as healings. And at that pivotal point, I left the social work field to move into the spiritual work, carrying with me all my education, of course. But I'm looking at you, and you reached that same point, and you stayed within social work and brought it in there. And so I just want to hear a little bit about that shift and that drive for you.
Okay. Well, we're taught in social work about William James, the father of American psychology.
Yes.
And then occasionally they mention Carl Jung from Switzerland, not often. And of course, Freud. So when I started reading about their lives, James and Jung especially, I found out that they both believed in mediumship. And Jung's mother was psychic. And then his grandfather had a second wife, and he and his second wife would have lunch and talked to his first wife on the other side.
Wow.
So, and I'm thinking, we never heard this.
Right?
No, we were never given this. And then James is studying mediums at Massachusetts General Hospital with all of his friends, and then invites his friends over from England, and they start a psychic, a group, and they study this a lady named Mrs. Piper, who was William James's white crow, meaning she was very unusual in all the information she could retrieve. And I thought, well, we've been cheated because, and of course, psychology does that with the paranormal, and that's what they call it, paranormal,
Right.
or anomalous. And they make something, it's a little weird, not abnormal, but weird, different. So anyway, I just loved those stories. And so I started reading about Jung's life, especially. And I have his collected works, so I can always just pick up one of the 22 volumes. And I don't find him difficult to read. Some people say they do. But I think he was clairvoyant. And so nobody really understood what he was saying, because he had such a different perception.
Right. That makes sense.
And then I went, let's see. So I came into the alcohol field, and my father was an alcoholic, and I married and divorced an alcoholic. And then I was up in Boston. Claudia Black, she wrote a book about children of alcoholics. And so I was there for listening to her. And this lady comes, you're having tea for 15 minutes. And she said, oh, if you like Claudia Black, you really would like Jacqueline Small from Texas. And I said, oh, I've never heard of her. And she was a social worker. And she said, oh, you'd really like her. And that's all she said. And then 6 months later, I get this brochure across my desk, and it's from Jacqueline Small, and she's going to be in Connecticut. I'm in New Jersey. And for 1 week in the summer. And it's the week that my third daughter's going to be at sleepaway camp. And my other two daughters have already flown the coop. So I'm thinking, wow, I could go to this, So I call, and I love anything that says education anyway. And they say, oh, well, it's a 9-month program and it costs $5,000. And I said, no, I didn't know that. And they said, well, and there's a guaranteed student loan. So if you apply, you'll get the $5,000.
Nice.
I know. So I said, really? And they said, uh-huh. So I thought, all right, well, send me the paperwork and, I'll try that and see if it works. And it did. And so then I'm driving to Connecticut that day in August, and I'm thinking, where are you going? You're 5 o'clock in the morning, and you could have had the whole house to yourself, And why are you doing this? And then I get there, and it's at a former, convent, and on the water in Connecticut, beautiful place. And this little nun says to me, well, you look a little tired. I thought I was exhausted, but anyway, would you like to see your room? And I said, sure. And because we don't start till, after lunch. Okay. So anyway, she said, I'm in the Lions wing. And so I saw LIONS and got my stuff, and I follow her, and it's LYONS.
Mhm.
And that was one of my great grandmother's maiden names. So I thought, oh, I think I'm supposed to be here. And as I had come through with my stuff, there was a lady in the courtyard looking at this tree, and she said, this is what I was like in a past life. I was a tree like this. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know. I just don't know, So, but anyway, it was wonderful. And I learned about transpersonal psychology, which is a psychology that includes every kind of psychology, including Jung, which some people keep out. And that, they're interested in other things besides your normal waking state. And then on Wednesday, we were supposed to do holotropic breath work. So I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it was started by a psychiatrist named Stan Groth. And he started testing people. I think he gave them LSD and ecstasy, and had them in a hospital in Maryland somewhere. And then that got to be a no, you can't give them those drugs. So he founded this technique where you breathe in and then breathe out forcefully to music that activates your chakra system, which is your invisible system going up your spine, and energy wheels and all that stuff. So anyway, on Wednesday, we're supposed to lay down and breathe. And so I asked, could I do it first? You pick a partner. And then my partner said he had done it, and his hands and his feet became really hard. And I said, well, could I just do it? Because I don't really want to have any preconceived ideas about it. So I lay down, and there's a meditation, and then they say, don't think, just breathe.
Wow.
So that's the first time in my life I've been told not to think.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
That's what we do, right? So anyway, and I always follow directions. So I was breathing, and it was great. The music was playing, and you just feel all these different things inside your body, and the energy is, building up. And then I brought my feet up to the birthing position. You're laying on blankets and a pillow, and I felt this other breath come into my body. And I thought, whose breath is that? And then I thought, don't think, just breathe. So we kind of breathed, together. And I could tell my breath and then this breath, and it was very forceful. And then after that, I asked my partner to push on my feet, and I had my feet up in the air a little bit, and he didn't do it right, whatever that meant. And then the trainers came over, and one got behind me, and he said, hold on to my wrist and push, and you're going to have to push hard. And so I pushed and I pushed, and I had this thought, where is my mother? And I thought, why am I thinking that, right? Anyway, by the time it was over, They said I look like this little baby on the blanket, and I had experienced my birth
Wow.
for coming into Earth this time.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'll tell you, it's got to be easier to die.
Well, listen, we're going to hold right there. We're going to take a quick break, really quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity with Dr. Karen and her fantastic book, Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Told you that was going to be a quick break. We're
That
back
was
with
quick.
more of This Morning with Soulivity. We have a very, very special guest with us today, Dr. Karen Herrick, who's the author of the book Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal. And Dr. Chanel, you had a question for Dr. Karen?
Yes, well, I'm just enjoying your journey, Dr. Karen. And I'd like to know, you talked about the imagination and not being sort of that outlier. How did you, summon the courage to persist and to, even as a young age, how did you nurture that imagination to the point that you, felt really grounded and you started to own your gifts?
I don't think it was till after that experience, really. I just was going through life, accumulating and having children, and I've been married and divorced twice, so I was kind of busy, and and so then I thought, oh, and then I didn't tell you, but I knew there was a God. I stood up, and all these people that I thought were so strange on Sunday, I love them. I just love them deeply, and we
Wow.
were connected. And I knew we were all connected to everybody in the world. And
Wow.
it was like what James says, it's like a brand new feeling, And then I thought that I'd been on the blanket like 20 minutes, but I've been on there 4 hours.
What?
Yeah. So I was really out there,
Yeah.
So anyway, then you went and you had to draw a mandala in the next room, and you were told not to talk to anybody. But I knew there was a God, and I went and I drew this flower and grass and the sun. And I thought, I have no idea what this means. And then we went to lunch because food grounds you. And then we came back and sat in a circle, and everybody shared their drawings. And nobody else had a breath that came through them. So I didn't mention that. that little detail. And so Jackie Small said, well, that's a rebirth drawing. You had a rebirth. And I said, I thought to myself, I did, and then I just felt a little out of it. Like that night, everybody went out for pizza and a movie. And I thought, no, I'm staying here. And then by Friday, I had to help. I was the lead car for 3 other cars going to Newark Airport. So I thought, all right, you better get it together. Whatever it is, you can go back out. And you got to figure this out. And then clients start coming with these stories and, just different experiences. And I thought, wow, if I'm having these or I had this, and it took me about 1.5 years to figure out what that was. That was the Holy Spirit. And they're having these. And I knew they weren't lying to me. I thought, there's got to be more people having these, and nobody's talking about it, right?
Right.
Wow.
So then I decided to get my doctorate in naming spiritual experiences. That was my thesis.
Right.
And so then I really, and more, how it is, you guys know that once you get grounded like that, I mean, you just keep having other phenomenal things, and you keep meeting other phenomenal people. And then my oldest daughter passed about 3 years ago. She had cancer. And I've been working with a medium in Great Britain. And she's been trying to teach me her method. And I keep saying, well, I'm not a medium. I have intuition, but I'm not that. But she said, well, anybody can learn it. Yeah, I said, I realize that, but I don't think I'm quite there. But the fact that all these spirits come into her, and I've been watching this, and I type over 100 words a minute, so I type everything. And so that's going to be my next book. I think we're going to try to write a book together, The Therapist and the Medium.
Nice.
Wow.
But that knowing there's a higher power for everybody that's listening, and that you have a soul purpose. We all came in here, and Jung said that you came in here with a soul purpose, and it's up to you to find out what that soul purpose is. And then, well, what does that mean? Well, it just means, what is your passion, and how are you going to, fix it into your life and make it really come alive? Because a lot of people are just, working the 9 to 5, or even if they're working
Yes.
it at home,
Yes.
they're not that happy with it.
Wow. Dr. Karen, I love the fact that you're talking about that at the end of the day, this is about all of us finding what we were meant to do on this time around the planet, right?
Right.
And that comes out as its passion, as what are you passionate about? Maybe how do you use that to serve, which is what we call your purpose. And so, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about how you have been an advocate through your own practice about the need for mental health professionals to use these tools as part of their practice with people, right?
Right.
And educating them on the importance of this within their own practice so that they can have this holistic ability to help people through whatever they're going through, right? So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna talk about that on the other side of the break. So everybody hold tight, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined by my great co-hosts, Sheila Applegate and Dr. Chanel DeGuzman. We have a very special guest where we're talking about developing a richer appreciation for life through spiritual experiences with Dr. Karen Herrick, who is the author of Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal. And Dr. Karen, I was just wanting to get your thoughts about the need to educate mental health professionals on spiritual experiences and phenomena.
Oh, well, there's a great need. And there are so many, as Sheila will know, there's so many people out there with master degrees, and they also have other skills and clairvoyant abilities, but they can't talk about them or let anybody know they're using them. And
Right.
so I've been doing webinars on the internet, and this me being interviewed like today with you guys is something that I'm trying to do to get this more out there. And I would love someday to have some kind of a course where mediums and psychology people join and learn things together, and so that we can break down
Wow.
this this problem of clairvoyant people are weird. And even Jung said that. He said they're a little different. Well, of course, well, yeah, they are a little different, but so what? That's good. So I'm trying to do that. I'm doing that with the webinars, but it's not enough for me. So I really, I guess this is my final act, as Jane Fonda would say. And I really would like to do something in education that gets a bigger audience somehow, because there are people, I know if I have say I have, 70 people on a webinar one night, well, pretty much 50 of them want this information.
Right.
And then the
Right.
other 20, well, it's not real science. Well, whatever is real science, you're not going to see your deceased mom in a laboratory. I guarantee you that. because love is the greatest energy there is, and that happens privately. And clairvoyant things usually only happen to one person at a time.
Right.
And so what we have to do is just gather all these stories, which of course they've done.
Right.
They've done for over 100 years. And we have enough information to prove the characteristics of a spiritual experience and seeing deceased people. We have it all. We just have to get them to believe it.
Right. 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 Sheila, you had a question?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Karen.
exactly.
And I
I'm
would
over
do
here
any,
like
I would
hold my
be,
hand up like,
yeah,
yes.
I would love to support you in any way and bringing those two together. It's interesting because I pulled so far away, and then over the last year or two really have felt a pull to, go back into the social work field and tell people this is important. So how are you navigating when you're talking to professionals and they're skeptic, or even clients, the difference between a spiritual experience and then what we would diagnose as a mental health issue, and that line in order to make sure that everyone is safe?
Yeah, so that's a good question. The difference between a spiritual experience and a psychotic experience, number one, is a spiritual experience. The person can come in and out of the story at any time, and you get the same story. And with somebody who is in a psychotic break or moment, they're all over the place,
Right.
and the story changes constantly. Now, Raymond Moody was on my PhD committee, and he said, "Well, Karen, somebody in psychosis could be having a spiritual experience." And I said, "Oh, now you're really going to, And he said, "That's the part of their story that would stay the same."
Right.
So that would take a team, though. You don't have to have some help, I think, in doing that.
I'm doing that.
But so one is humbled and the other one is grandiose and bragging. I'm talking to Muhammad. I'm talking to, Christ. It's me. And the person with the spiritual experience is so humbled, and they don't even want to tell you because they're afraid that you might think they're crazy. And whereas a psychotic person is not afraid of that. So basically it's the humbleness and the grandiosity and the fact that the story remains the same. And then if you're doing therapy with them, you can figure out how this story, is what they have in their life. For instance, like my father was Protestant, my mother was Catholic, and I got the Holy Spirit. Well, so that could be for either one.
Right.
Right.
And I do believe your soul chooses the spiritual experience you're going to have.
Right.
And that just is individual and unique to each person. And so when I do my webinars, I have one that I really like right now. I like all of them, but I do a lot on Jungian psychology because I always feel sorry for social workers because, number one, it's expensive to go to a young
Mhm.
institute. You got to travel to a big city. And now, of course, you can do some Zoom, but they don't get Jungian psychology
Right.
very often, the
Right.
opportunity, right?
Right.
Right.
So like this summer, I'm going to be doing 3 talks for the state of New Jersey for their social workers on Jung. And I'm really excited to do that. And the webinars, but I still, want to do, a bigger thing. So I'm trying to write articles for magazines and get out there. And really, I just love meeting people like you, because I'm just developing, like I have a list now of people who really believe me, which is good.
Aw.
And, and we can do something together, maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Karen, I was going to ask about how do you personally, in your spiritual practice, keep elevating so that,
Wow.
you can expand, to assume the positioning to continue to educate, continue to, you know, help people reach, especially the mental health professionals, reach their, sort of upper limits as they continue to go deeper and learn more about their spiritual practice. How do you expand to go even higher so that you can continue to give back?
Well, what I do is I still believe in education no matter what. And so I listen to podcasts. On webinars I go on. I'm often on the Jungian Association when they have a Zoom, like 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. And so I'm constantly taking in new, even if it doesn't seem new, you always get something out of it. For instance, I just saw I don't know if you call it a webinar, but anyway, it was a interview with this woman named Sarah Grace, who is, she worked in the 911 emergency system in Southern California. She was a paramedic, and she always had these clairvoyant gifts, but her family had really abused her if she ever talked about them or tried to tell them what she saw. And it started at the age of 7. So she had all these, and she just felt weird and had all these energies and everything. And I believe that the vagus nerve is the highway of your physical body. It's the 10th and longest nerve in your body. So it starts at the top of your head, goes down, goes around your neck, around the amygdala, which is fight, flight, or frozen, goes down your spinal column into your heart and then into your stomach. And Darwin in the 1700s said it was the pneumogastric nerve, and that your stomach triggered your brain, danger, danger, and your heart rate went up. Well, this is great because I decided to go for training with this Dr. Porges, who wrote a book. He studied the vagus nerve for 40 years.
Wow.
And so I went up, but you can't really read the book, to tell you the truth. So, he and somebody else have written an easier book. But I went up there, and one thing he told me that really helped me, and sometimes you only get one thing. Well, it helped me with post-traumatic stress and anxiety and panic, that I could tell people, you could breathe, and you just have a longer out breath. So you breathe into the count of 4, and you breathe out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, as far as you can go. And you keep breathing like that, and it will lower your heart rate because the vagus nerve calms down. So that was the biggest thing. And then he said, vibration causes structure. And I thought to myself, that, how you get something that is important, but I don't know where to put it yet. Right. So anyway, then I went to Lilydale, which is a town of mediums out by Lake Erie in New York State. And I'm in the museum, this little museum about as big as, our living rooms. And there's this 3-ring binder on the table, and I'm looking through it, and there's this lady who's deceased, and there's a cord coming from her stomach and from her neck. And then up to some relatives in the corner, like they say in hospice, the relatives, they're always in the right-hand corner, and they see them and they're welcoming them. You can come over to the other side. And she's doing this in the picture. And then the picture has her go up and go up. And as she goes up, the cords go with her. Wow. So I thought to myself, I didn't even know, but I knew, like Plato says, we all know more than we think we know. And I thought, that's the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And so I said to the man, can I take pictures of these illustrations? And he said, oh, nobody's looked at that for 30 years. So I thought, well, good. So I took these pictures, and it was drawn by a lady called Clara Barnett, who was a medium from 1929 to the 50s at Lilydale. She taught other mediums. And she created this little booklet, I found out, but I never found the booklet. But I did find articles that she wrote for this newspaper called Psychic Observer that mediums subscribe to. And the only problem with this magazine, as I called it, it was done on newspaper. So there's not many pages or people that survived. But I found 8 out of her 10 articles. And that's where I got the picture that's on my book, The Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal. That is the picture of the vagus nerve going through the whole body. And then she had all the different psychic centers, which are the chakras. She had them numbered. And this is how you get information from your spirit guardian angel, your spiritual guides on the other side, or your deceased loved ones. They can't talk anymore, but they can send you thoughts. So you get these thoughts right around your head. I always get them right on the side of my ear, on the right side. I don't know why that is, but anyway, and they come into the vagus nerve.
Wow, that's amazing. Listen, we're going to want more about this. When we come back, we're going to get a couple of tips from you on, how do we do all of this? How do we develop this richer experience? So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Oh, we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We are talking about developing a richer appreciation for life through spiritual experiences with Dr. Karen Herrick. And I just wanted to get at least 1 or 2 good tips that you can share, Dr. Karen, about, how do we start doing this as a practice? I mean, we're running out of time, but I just want to get at least a couple of tips from you.
Well, number one, I believe that it's important to know that there's a higher power in the universe. So there is a plan, and that there are spiritual entities watching over you, and they're trying to help you. And they would like you to listen carefully so that you would get different thoughts that aren't yours. One of Jung's gurus in his dream said to him, you think every thought in your head is yours. Why are you so arrogant? Why are you so arrogant? We send you thoughts. So, you read stuff like that and it makes you think, oh my God. Yeah, sometimes I have thoughts that aren't mine. And so know that there's a higher power, and believe that you have a purpose, because the more you start questioning that, the more confused you are, the better it is sometimes, because that means you're on the right path to find out what your purpose is.
Wow.
Because you're curious and it's bothering you, right?
Right.
And then spend time lowering your mental level, which means what they told me when I did my breath work was, don't think, just breathe. You have to have moments like that in your day where you just breathe and, meditate, or go out and garden, or take the dog for a walk, or just walk in the yard. Do something where you're giving yourself a break from your mind, because when you will have more spiritual experiences when you don't think. And that's what Jung did with his imagination. He just imagined this hole, and he went down as deep as he could go. And then he got all of these, different deceased people and spirits to speak to him. And that's what the Red Book is about. If you want to look at that, it's a 12-pound book where he drew everything that he had happen to him when he used active imagination. And don't be afraid to use your active imagination, because that's how you create things.
Wow, this has been great. This has been a really wonderful conversation. And I love the fact that you can hear Dr. Karen, I can hear the passion in your voice
Mhm.
around this, and the excitement, and I can still hear that childlike wonder and
Right.
awe in your
Yeah.
voice. And just I think that everybody needs to understand that is part of who we are, and that it's just not you, it's everyone, and that we need to do is tap into it. And you can learn more about all of this by checking out Dr. Karen's latest book, Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal. Discover why you get good ideas in the shower and other important facts about your spiritual body. I
It
love that
is.
title.
Yeah.
I love it, love it, love it. Listen, you can find this at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com or wherever books are sold, like Amazon. Dr. Karen, would you come back and join us again
Oh,
and talk more about this?
I would love to, because I'm just getting started.
Oh, hey, all right. See, I love it. I love it. I love it. I
And
love it. Look,
I want questions from guys like you, because you really think about it.
oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this is what we do here. This is why we have these real conversations that empower you every day.
Well, that's so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you get out of your headspace, right? I
Yes.
love that
Right.
that ego is there and can start talking to you and that kind of deal. So listen, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll have final thoughts from Sheila, Dr. Chanel, and myself on This Morning with Soulivity. We'll be right back.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Man, what a fantastic show. Listen, I'll go to you, Dr. Chanel, for any final thoughts.
Yeah, I just so appreciate Dr. Karen's experience, like you said, her commitment, her enthusiasm. And it's a really good, gentle reminder for us all, especially me, to just be conscious and also be able to step away and do some conscious breathing so that you can really slow things down enough to actually hear and to be still so that you can get the creativity, you can get the message, you can actually hear, so if, your ancestors, your close, people that you have separated from you and are gone on, if they impart thoughts into you and if they are speaking to you, we have to be quiet enough outside of our busy day-to-day life to be able to hear. And so for me, it's a really good reminder to just continue to be open and to slow it down so that I can be open and receptive to all the goodness that my spiritual life has for me.
Mm, 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 mm. I love that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Sheila?
I guess I want to thank
So-
you also, Dr. Karen. And
Oh, I can't hear you guys.
Oh,
Oh, there you are.
okay. Go ahead, Sheila.
I want to thank Dr. Karen for everything that you have done and for sharing with us today. I believe that normalizing communication with the divine and loved ones who've crossed over is essential to our mental health. And I'm seeing like two sides of a bridge come together here. And that just tells me that the world is ready for that humanity is ready for that. And that's exciting. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for being here. Yeah, I think this is so much what our world needs, because entertainment and consumption just doesn't do it.
No, not at all. I am so glad. Thank you, Marianne, for introducing me to Dr. Karen. So I'm going to say that first and foremost. Who she's a wonderful soul as well.
Yes.
What you're talking about is so vital, and what you are practicing and trying to educate mental health professionals about is so vital. I think that the time in terms of psychology being this mental state where it's just about, I mean, I think a lot of times we're still talking about the id in many ways, and that's being separate and apart from ourselves, and that you allowing the wholeness of ourselves to be part of the conversation, at least be part of the conversation. We're talking about how we're doing in our bodies, how we're relating to the world, how we're relating to our relationships, our jobs, our professions, that it's all connected, is why I think that it's vital. And I'm so happy that you're doing this work. This is the work that you were meant to do and meant to bring forth. And so I just want to say thank you again for being here.
Oh, well, you're entirely welcome. Thank you for having me. This sounds like a wonderful show.
Listen, again, the book is Psychology of the Soul and the Paranormal. Discover why you get good ideas in the shower, and why important facts and other important facts about your spiritual body. Dr. Reverend Karen Herrick, thank you again for being here. This was fantastic. This was really, really fantastic. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on with our host in terms of things that they are offering right now? Sheila, what's going on with you?
Well, I have soul connection sessions. If anybody got sparked and is interested in communicating with their loved ones, connecting to your soul consciousness, or receiving guidance from spirit, you are welcome to use the discount code SOUL23, SOUL23 for $44 off your first session.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to have to do that. Dr. Chanel, what about you?
Well, talk about getting ideas and inspiration in the shower. Just continue to offer my one-on-one chats as an exploratory session. But I thought today I'm working with a client and we're doing some recalibration. We're basically starting, back at the, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, going back to that foundation and continuing to rebuild, to recalibrate. So if anybody needs to have that one-on-one to find out where you are, where you're going, and what are those barriers, how do you get to that deeper spiritual place, I'd love to talk with you.
Nice.
And you can give a call at 313-410-9909 for Dr. Chanel and that complimentary coaching session. Shoot, I need to take that. I need to take you up on that. Shoot. Listen, we want to make sure too that you know about a very special offer from one of our Soulivity hosts, D'Angelo Thompson. He's the author of a book called 100 Days of Gratitude, exploring the seen and unseen blessings in life. But he also has some beautiful gratitude cards that you can download for absolutely free by going to his website on Soulivity. And all you need to do is go to soulivity.com/the D'Angelo-Thompson, and you can download those cards for free down to your computer, to your phone, and carry around those wherever you want to go. Okay. They are fabulous. I'm loving going through those every single day, and getting my dose of gratitude, because there's so many different things in the world that you can be grateful for, which is so fantastic. Also, later today at 12 noon, we're going to be having another The Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco at noon, with another fantastic guest. You can find out more information about Dr. Karen Herrick's book and a little bit more about herself, but you can email her at karen@karenherrick.com. Remember, you can also go and find out more information about Sheila by going to her website at sheilaapplegate.com. And don't forget to call Dr. Chanel for that complimentary appointment at 313-410-9909. Wow. I can't believe it's over. Our show's over for today. Well, should I meet you back here next week?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Karen, thanks again for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
you.
Everybody go out and get that book. You will not
Absolutely.
be
I'm going
you will
to.
not be disappointed at all. In fact, you'll start going down the path of, greater expansion in your life. Listen, a couple of final things. Listen, make sure that you follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and so many more. You can find out more information about our show by going to soulivity.com/this-morning, where you can also join our mailing list, where you can find out more information about, what's going on in our world, what's happening. You can also scan the QRC code that's on our site right now, and you can be part of that and know what's happening in like special giveaways and exclusive content. Listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thanks for joining us for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every single weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or listen at 9 a.m. Pacific on KMET 1490 AM radio for all of you out on the West Coast. Until next time, keep on having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create that high quality life today. See you next time. Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.